It was curious. I got a chance to see some things.
Yeah, but you were 13. What were you seeing?
I went there to see the lifestyle.
Right.
And I saw it. And it was, but I don't know if I could indulge and understand what I was even looking at. It was pretty wild.
Everyone's been focused on Diddy's trial, but what caught many off guard was Usher finally speaking out about what really happened. And this isn't just a small response or subtle industry remark. According to reports, Usher has come forward with recordings that could show Diddy is involved in far more than people originally thought. Some claims suggest that Usher ended up in the hospital after a troubling incident involving Diddy. But before we go further, it's important to be clear. Everything shared here is based on public reports, interviews, and online discussions. If any of this changes your view, remember, this is a summary of information already circulating. Sources say Usher was kept quiet for years through non-disclosure agreements, settlements, and pressure. But now, he's reportedly ready to speak. It's alleged that Usher has kept records, phone calls, private videos, and voice memos going back as far as 2004. That's nearly 20 years of material. And with Diddy now on trial and more celebrities being called to testify, Usher might become a major voice in the case. People close to the situation say this isn't about revenge for Usher, it's about protecting himself. As a teenager, he was sent to live with Diddy when he was just 14. That decision exposed him to high-profile industry events, private parties, and things no young person should be involved in. He was both a witness and possibly a victim. Looking back, Usher was signed to L.A. Reid's label, LaFace Records, when he was just 13 or 14 years old. He had a bright future ahead, young, talented, and full of promise. But instead of making sure he was protected, L.A. Reid made a controversial choice. He sent Usher to New York to live with Sean Puffy Combs, who at that time was known for his wild lifestyle. L.A. Reid later admitted that he wasn't sure if sending Usher to live with Diddy was a wise decision or a serious mistake. But what reportedly happened in that apartment is where things began to take a troubling turn. According to some sources, Usher ended up in the hospital after an incident that allegedly took place there. People familiar with the industry, especially those with ties to Harlem, claimed that something very disturbing happened involving Puff. While no names were mentioned at first, the story circulated widely, and eventually, people began to believe the person involved was Usher. These reports weren't just rumors. They had been whispered in the industry long before Usher's name was ever attached. And though many details remain unclear, the seriousness of the claims has raised important questions about what really happened during that time.
I know, and people know, that was around that in that time that Puff and Usher did have a situation. And that situation led Usher to the hospital. Now I let Usher explain that to y'all. I let Usher tell that story. But how dare you say a man that you gonna give him a pass? Bruh, you know I know. Let me reframe you on something. Remember Usher?
At the time, Usher didn't fully understand what he was being exposed to. In an interview, he once shared that he was sent to what Puffy called flavor camp when he was just 13 years old, and that he ended up living with him for an entire year.
And I lived with Sean Puffy Combs for a year.
That's the crazy thing. Now, that was L.A. Reid's idea, right? We're sending you over to something called Puffy Flavor Camp.
There you go.
To learn
Flavor Camp.
Yeah,
Flavor
that's what it was called. And you're going to go to Puff Daddy's. He's going
in the 90s. Do you understand what that's like?
But that was just the beginning. Later on, when Usher was asked what life was like inside Puffy's house, he didn't completely hold back. He said the place was full of women and described the atmosphere as wild. He didn't spell everything out directly, but he gave enough details to suggest that something wasn't right. Usher even admitted that at the time he didn't fully understand what he was seeing.
It was curious. I got a chance to see some things.
Yeah, but you were 13. What were you seeing?
I went there to see the lifestyle.
Right.
And I saw it. And it was but I don't know if I could indulge and understand what I was even looking at. It was pretty.
Diddy? He tried to play it smoothly. There's a clip still going around from a live stream where he slipped up badly. He started talking about how he and Usher used to wake up together back in the day. But then he seemed to realize what he was saying and stopped mid-sentence. Things got awkward fast. He tried to recover by saying Usher was around 10 years old and that they used to argue over frosted flakes or something like that. But by then, the people around him looked uncomfortable, like they couldn't believe he had just said that out loud.
Brother right here from day one, we used to wake up and, damn, pause, but like, check this out. Back in the days when he was like 10 and I was a little bit older, his older brother, we used to fight over the frosted flakes. You know what I'm saying? Before pause was invented. You know what I'm saying? But it's my brother for real. We used to actually wrestle off of the frosted flakes because he used to always get up early with me. Now he's one of the richest stars in the world. And
what the f did Puff just say?
Usher was reportedly at a dinner with Diddy, Neo, Jimmy Iovine, and Cassie. During that dinner, Diddy allegedly punched Cassie in the stomach in front of everyone, and none of the men said anything. Many people reacting to this story pointed out that Usher has a daughter of his own, so seeing him stay silent in a moment like that shows just how deeply controlled and manipulated these artists may have been, and maybe still are. Now it seems like Usher is finally starting to speak out. But these weren't isolated incidents. According to multiple sources, they were part of a long pattern of manipulation that Usher had to accept just to keep going. Over time, what he experienced became his normal, and that led to years of silence. He continued building his career, while keeping the trauma hidden. What makes it more complicated is that Usher didn't just survive this system, he may have unknowingly helped continue it. After being under Diddy's influence himself, Usher later introduced Justin Bieber to the industry when Justin was just 13. L.A. Reid even mentioned in an interview that Usher brought Bieber to him as a gift. Bieber was beautiful, and that Diddy was given temporary guardianship of him for 48 hours.